It's very common to associate scales and pentatonics with chords and use those scales and pentatonics to play over those chords. But another approach is to actually derive the lines directly from the chords themselves, or build the scales that you're going to use directly from the chords themselves. And this is the approach that I thought I'd talk about this week. It's something that I've spoken about in other videos, but I thought this week I'll sort of really drill into it, and I'll put a PDF online just showing some of the common scales, the common things that you can do to derive from chords. Now, you can start with any chord, but I've picked a handful of the 6 most common chords that I use, and I'll work through those. So we'll start by going through the principles of it, and then I'll give you a couple of really easy exercises to sort of get it under your fingers, and then we'll go through the 6 chords. So let's start with the principles. Okay, so let's start with the chord. So I've got a D minor chord, so it's the A minor bar chord and the 5th fret, yeah? And the arpeggio that sits under that is this one. Yeah? And if I take all of those notes and move them down 1 fret, we get this. Okay? Now if I just fuse those together, so I play one arpeggio after the other, I get that kind of sound, yeah? Okay. Now it's really important to be aware of where the downbeat is when you're playing something like this, because I want to be emphasising the notes of the D minor chord. So in these pairs of notes that we're creating, one is sort of the leading note to the downbeat, so it's and one, and one, one. So I want to be emphasising that second note in each pair. And there's a few ways you can do that once you've got awareness of this, or you can, if you want to start on a downbeat, just start on the second note. Yeah? Now, descending, I guess you could start with a chord above, 1 fret above, and descend to D minor, but it's much more common to keep the pairs of notes in an ascending pattern, but just move those pairs around like this. Just like that. So hopefully you can see how the principles work, and you can use this to derive scales from any chord. So let's put a couple of exercises together to get these shapes under our fingers a little bit. Okay, so a couple of exercises just to get used to this movement is just to start with just ascending and descending like we did before. So I'm working with pairs of notes. And if you've got a metronome, this is a really good one for a metronome, just to get used to where the downbeat should land. So you want the downbeat to land on that second note of the pair, so tick, 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 tick. Yeah? And then you can take this concept of these pairs of notes and just move them around. Try groups of 3 or groups of 4. So groups of 3 would sound like this. Okay, so that's a handful of really easy exercises, and you can use those over any shape that you derive. So let's pick 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, and just show you how I map them on the neck. So the most common shapes I use are based around the most common bar chords as well, for me anyway. So if we start with that kind of E bar chord, we'll start with a minor. So you can see I'm up on the 5th fret, so I'm actually playing over an A minor chord, but it's based around that E minor chord slid up to the 5th fret, yeah? And the shape I'd use here is this one. that's for that chord. If we go for the major version of it, okay, so there's our major chord. The A minor bar chord, so I'm on the 5th fret, so this is actually a D minor chord, but it's that A minor chord slid up to the 5th fret, yeah. And just like before, so that's the minor version. Let's try the major version. Okay, moving on to the next one then. So this is like a D minor bar chord up on the 5th fret, so this is actually a G minor chord. But the shape I'd use for this, yeah, for this chord. Let's try the major version. So G major or D major bar chord, or however you want to play it. So you can use this technique to get some really beautiful lines that sit right on top of the chord, and you hear it all over the place. It's really common in gypsy jazz music, for example. So if you want to hear it really applied well, then listen to some Django Reinhart. But it applies, you can use this in any genre, and I use this in any genre. It gives you a nice sound that sits right on top of the chord if that's what you're after. Anyway, experiment with it, see how you get on with it, and we'll chat next time. Goodbye.